What if the most trusted face in morning television was forced to defend a billion-dollar empire on live TV? No one at the network expected it. The young journalist who sat across from her refused to play the game, and in a few short minutes, the conversation about feel-good stories would turn into a brutal battle over money, ethics, and control. This is the story of how it all fell apart. Subscribe to Focus Insights to see more moments the media tried to hide. Let's begin. The GMA studio is more than a television set. It's a national institution. Every morning, millions of Americans invited into their homes for a dose of news, comfort, and connection. At the heart of it all is Robin Roberts, an icon, a survivor. Her warmth and authenticity have made her one of the most beloved figures in television history, a beacon of hope and steady presence in a rapidly changing world. She has navigated personal health battles with grace, shared her vulnerabilities, and in doing so, forged an almost unbreakable bond with her audience. For nearly 2 decades, she's been the steady hand guiding millions through their mornings, from triumphs to tragedies, always with a reassuring smile and a profound sense of empathy. On this particular morning, the energy felt routine, almost celebratory. Robin was set to be interviewed for a digital segment, one of many supplementary pieces the network produced for online platforms. The segment was called Icons of Influence, and it was designed as a tribute to her remarkable career, her inspiring resilience, and her unparalleled impact on morning television. Her interviewer was Liam Hayes, a relatively new, sharp-witted journalist from the network's growing business department. Liam had quickly made a name for himself with his sharp questions and his fearless pursuit of underlying financial truths in a media landscape often more focused on narratives than balance sheets. While his approach was direct, he was also undeniably charismatic, possessing the kind of raw talent that marked him as a future star. The secondary set chosen for the interview was intimate, bathed in soft, flattering light, creating an atmosphere of cozy conversation rather than a probing interrogation. Robin, impeccably dressed as always, she looked calm and friendly as always. She greeted Liam with a genuine smile, a warm handshake, her eyes twinkling with a familiar kindness. She was prepared to share anecdotes about her journey, her battles, her belief in never giving up. The cameras were rolling, the crew was silently attentive, and the segment seemed poised to be another heartwarming testament to her enduring appeal. Everything was everything looked normal, but it wasn't. The hum of the studio, the murmuring of the small audience, the bright lights, all contributed to an illusion of a typical day, a standard interview. No one, not the producers, not the network executives watching remotely, certainly not Robin herself, anticipated the huge change that was about to occur. This was the calm before the storm. The calm was about to be broken forever. The interview began exactly as scripted, flowing with the familiar rhythm of admiration and reflection. Liam started with eloquent praise, acknowledging Robin's incredible career, her unwavering dedication, and the unique, almost familial connection she had cultivated with the audience. He sounded respectful, making it look like a friendly interview. "Robin," Liam began, his voice warm and respectful, "thank you for doing this. For millions, you're not just a broadcaster, you're like a family member, an integral part of their morning routine. You've become a touchstone of stability and hope in an often chaotic world. How do you maintain that profound level of trust and authenticity year after year, especially when the media landscape is constantly shifting?" Robin, her famous smile radiating warmth, responded with the grace and earnestness her viewers adored. "Oh, you just have to be yourself, Liam," she said, her voice gentle yet resonant. "Authenticity is everything. The camera doesn't lie. It sees right through you. You have to open your heart, share your true self, your triumphs and your challenges. And our viewers are so generous, so incredibly discerning. They open theirs right back. It's a two-way street of trust and vulnerability, a beautiful exchange of human spirit that I cherish every single day." Her answer was perfectly pitched, classic Robin. It was inspiring, heartfelt, and exactly what anyone tuning in would expect. It was the kind of answer that reinforced her image as America's empathetic anchor, a figure above the fray, focused solely on connection and community. But Liam's smile, while still charming, didn't quite reach his eyes. A subtle shift in his demeanor, almost imperceptible to the casual observer, indicated a change in trajectory. He allowed a deliberate beat of silence to hang in the air, a tiny, almost imperceptible pause that felt longer than it was before leaning forward, his posture subtly altering, signifying a transition. And that authenticity, Liam continued, his tone still outwardly appreciative but now underscored with a newfound edge, is incredibly valuable, isn't it? Not just emotionally, but financially. I was looking at some internal figures, publicly available reports, and projections. In the years you've been the primary anchor, anchoring Good Morning America with your unique brand of credibility, the show's ad revenue, and by extension, the network's morning profits, have climbed by an estimated 40%, reaching unprecedented highs. A 30-second commercial spot during your 8 a.m. hour, particularly in a segment you lead, can now command upwards of $500,000. Think about that. $500,000 for 30 seconds. It's clear, Ms. Roberts, that you're not merely a host or a journalist in the traditional sense. You've become, for all intents and purposes, the invaluable face of a multi-billion-dollar asset for this corporation. The air in the studio seemed to thicken, to crackle with an unspoken tension. Robin's warm smile, though still present, tightened almost imperceptibly at the corners. Her eyes, usually so expressive and open, flickered with a hint of surprise, then perhaps a touch of guardedness. The small studio audience, initially captivated by the celebrity interview, now stirred uneasily, a low murmur passing through them. They sensed the subtle but definite shift in the conversation. The topic had abruptly pivoted from inspiring personal journeys and profound human connection to cold, hard numbers and corporate valuation. The celebratory tone had been replaced by a... The temperature in the room, metaphorically speaking, had just dropped by 20 degrees. A line had been crossed, a boundary subtly yet firmly breached. The first shot had been fired in a battle no one had expected. Liam, relentless and precise, leaned forward, his voice maintaining its respectful cadence, yet his line of questioning sharpening with each word. The chess match, as the production team later described it, had unmistakably begun. Robin, ever the professional, met his gaze with a composure that betrayed nothing of the surprise or discomfort she might have felt. Absolutely, the team is fantastic, Robin, Liam acknowledged her earlier point about collective effort, and their contributions are undeniable. But let's be even more specific about what industry analysts now refer to as the Robin Roberts effect. There's a noticeable and clear connection. When you took time off for your health, for instance, during those critical periods, the network's stock saw a slight but measurable dip in market value. Conversely, upon your much-anticipated returns, it consistently rallied, often exceeding previous valuations. Internal reports, documents I've reviewed, frequently refer to your segments as audience trust anchors. These segments, leveraging your profound credibility and emotional resonance, are explicitly utilized to sell premium sponsorship packages and command top dollar from advertisers. My question then is this: are you directly involved in those high-level strategic and financial decisions? Do you, for instance, have a real power in which brands, which corporations, get to be associated with your most personal stories, the very narratives that have endeared you to millions and become such a vital part of your public persona? Robin's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. She looked uncomfortable for a split second. Her gaze remained steady, but a flicker of something akin to shock crossed her features. She reached up, a deliberate, almost ritualistic gesture, to adjust her microphone pack, buying herself a fraction of a second to compose her thoughts. In the control room, a producer mouthed, "Wow," recognizing the unprecedented shift. Michael Strahan, one of Robin's co-anchors who had been watching from the side with a genial smile, shifted uncomfortably, his expression now a mixture of concern and mild astonishment. "My stories are my life, Liam," Robin stated, her voice calm but with an underlying steel that had not been present moments before. "They're not and have never been a commodity to be bought and sold. They are meant to help people, to inspire, to let them know they are not alone in their struggles. That is their sole purpose. The business side of things, the advertising, the sponsorships, that is handled by a different department, by executives whose purview is far removed from mine. My focus, my unwavering commitment is on the message, on the human connection, on the impact we make on people's lives." "But the two are undeniably connected, aren't they, Robin?" Liam retorted, his tone still polite, almost academic, but his pursuit relentless. "Let's take a specific example. Last year, Good Morning America partnered with a major pharmaceutical company for an extensive wellness series. This series, as you know, received significant on-air promotion, running repeatedly. That segment, quite coincidentally it seems, ran adjacent to another segment where you personally discussed your own health journey, your continued recovery, and the importance of proactive health management. Was that merely a fortunate coincidence of programming? Or was it, from a corporate perspective, a brilliant multi-million-dollar synergy where your profound personal credibility,
Your hard-won experience was expertly leveraged to sell a pharmaceutical product, to enhance the brand image of a company that paid millions for that association. Are you implying, Liam, Robin interjected, her voice now unmistakably rising, though still controlled, that I, Robin Roberts, would compromise my integrity, my deeply personal story, my very journey for a sponsor? After everything I've been through, after laying bare my soul to this audience, you suggest I would allow that to be manipulated for commercial gain? That, Liam, is not just a pointed question, it's an offensive question. It questions the very foundation of my ethics and everything I stand for. George Stephanopoulos, a seasoned anchor who had been quietly observing, felt compelled to intervene, sensing the escalating tension. His voice came through Robin's earpiece, but a crew member quickly adjusted a monitor so the audience could hear him. Okay, Liam, let's maybe stick to the topic of Robin's truly incredible and inspiring career and her impact beyond the financial figures.
Liam, however, remained unfazed, his gaze locked on Robin, his focus singular. He politely yet firmly ignored George's interjection. "It's not an offensive question, Robin," Liam calmly countered, his voice steady. "It's a business question, a legitimate inquiry into the operational realities of a major media conglomerate. This show, Good Morning America, this entire network is, at its core, a meticulously designed machine specifically engineered to generate revenue, to turn viewership into profit. And you, Miss Roberts, whether you choose to acknowledge it or not, are its most potent, its most valuable, and frankly, its most monetizable asset. I am simply trying to understand the intricate mechanics of that machine. I believe the audience, the millions who tune in daily, deserve to know how the sausage is made, so to speak, to understand the forces at play behind the smiles and the inspiring stories." Robin's eyes flashed, a spark of indignation now visible. She leaned forward, her composure momentarily slipping to reveal a deep-seated passion. "Don't you dare," she began, her voice gaining intensity, "don't you dare call the hope we give people sausage. You sit here in your analyst's chair with your spreadsheets and your data points and your projections, dissecting every financial metric, but you have absolutely no idea, Liam, what it is truly like to look into that camera day after day and connect with a person who is scared, who is struggling, who is fighting for their life or grieving a profound loss. You have no idea what it means to offer them a moment of respite, a flicker of understanding, a reason to keep going when all seems lost. That genuine connection, that profound human bond, that has no price tag. It cannot be quantified by your metrics, and it certainly cannot be reduced to some crude metaphor about sausage." "But it does, Robin," Liam countered, unyielding, his voice still low but piercingly direct. "The network, the corporation, has assigned it a very specific, very tangible price tag. They sell that connection, that trust, that hope, every single day to the highest bidder. They monetize it, segment by segment, minute by minute. The only remaining question for those of us who observe this from a business perspective is whether you are a willing and fully aware participant in that sale, a key architect of its success, or merely a very well-compensated, incredibly effective product, albeit one with a powerful voice." A profound, almost suffocating silence descended upon the studio. The usual ambient hum of cameras and equipment seemed to vanish, replaced by the collective held breath of every person present. Crew members froze in their positions, their faces reflecting the shock and disbelief of the audience. The air crackled with an intensity that was almost physical. Product. The word, delivered with cold, clinical precision by Liam, hung in the air like a death knell. It wasn't just a word, it was a label, a dehumanizing reduction of everything Robin represented. It stripped away her authenticity, her empathy, her journey, and reduced her to a mere commodity in the vast, profit-driven machinery of corporate media. Robin Roberts, who had faced down life-threatening illnesses, who had comforted a nation through countless tragedies, who had always maintained her poise, now stared at Liam. Her expression was no longer of anger or even indignation. It was something far more profound, a deep, piercing disappointment, mingled with a quiet, almost heartbreaking sense of betrayal. The line had been crossed, irrevocably. The personal had become transactional, and for Robin, that was unforgivable. This was the moment, the exact inflection point everyone would remember. A tight close-up on Robin's face. She takes a slow, deliberate breath, her eyes still locked on Liam, but her gaze seeming to penetrate beyond him, beyond the cameras, directly into the millions of homes watching her devoted viewers.
It was as if she was speaking to each one of them individually, bypassing the artificiality of the studio. In 2012, Robin began, her voice gaining a quiet, formidable strength. I needed a bone marrow transplant to live. My doctors told me I had a 1 in 100,000 chance of finding a compatible match from an unrelated donor. It was a statistical needle in the haystack. We put the call out right here on this very show. I asked my viewers, my family, for help. And what happened, Liam? 80,000 people, strangers, everyday Americans signed up for the bone marrow registry. 80,000 people. They didn't do it because they were influenced by an ad campaign. They didn't do it to boost stock prices or to support a product. They did it to help a person. They did it because they believed in something greater than profit margins. The advertising revenue, the network's stock price, the intricate web of sponsorship deals that you find so fascinating, you think that's the real power of this show? You think that's the engine driving Good Morning America? No, that, Liam, is just the exhaust, the necessary byproduct from the engine. The real engine, the true beating heart of this program, is hope. It's community. It's the profound shared belief that we are all in this together, facing our triumphs and our challenges side by side. She then turned her gaze with an almost physical force back to Liam. Her eyes, usually so soft and empathetic, now held a steely glint, an unyielding resolve. You, Robin stated, her voice quiet but devastatingly clear, you see a machine, a cold, calculating, revenue-generating mechanism. But I, Liam, I see a family, a community built on trust and shared human experience. And let me be unequivocally clear, you are not welcome in my house. The declaration hung in the air, a final, unassailable boundary drawn with quiet dignity. Robin Roberts, with a composure that belied the fire in her eyes, reached up. Her movements were deliberate, almost ceremonial. Her fingers found the clip of her microphone, unfastening it with a measured precision that drew every eye. She didn't rip it off in a dramatic flourish, didn't fling it away in a fit of rage. Instead, she placed the small device gently, almost reverently, on the elegant table directly in front of her. The soft, dull thud it made resonated through the silence, a profound, final period to the unexpected confrontation. This interview is over, she stated, her voice calm, clear, and utterly resolute.
She didn't storm off the set. There was no theatrical exit, no flailing arms or angry words. With the same grace and dignity that had endeared her to millions, Robin Roberts simply stood up and walked away. Her stride was even, her posture unwavering, her head held high. She moved purposefully, walking off the intimate set, past the stunned crew and out of the camera's immediate view. The studio audience, momentarily stunned into silence by the sheer audacity and finality of her action, erupted an instant later into a spontaneous, thunderous standing ovation. It wasn't the polite, prompted applause reserved for talk show guests. It was something raw, visceral, a recognition of an unspoken truth, an acknowledgement of a boundary defended. They weren't applauding the show, they were applauding her, the woman who had just walked away from the very machine that had made her a star, on her own terms. Liam Hayes remained seated, isolated in the center of the set, the microphone Robin had left behind a stark reminder of the wreckage. His face, usually so composed, was a mask of shock, perhaps even a flicker of dismay. The applause for Robin washed over him, an almost deafening wave of affirmation that he clearly had not anticipated. In the background, cameras swung wildly, trying to follow Robin, but she was already gone, disappearing through a stage door, leaving only her powerful words and the reverberations of her exit in her wake. Michael Strahan, who had watched the entire exchange unfold with growing alarm, slowly walked over to where Liam sat. He simply shook his head, a gesture of profound disappointment and silent rebuke, and then, without a word, walked away, leaving Liam utterly alone. The segment was over. The carefully cultivated image of morning television, of seamless professionalism, of cheerful camaraderie, was shattered. The pretense had evaporated, leaving behind a stark, uncomfortable reality. What had just unfolded in that studio was far more than a mere clash of personalities or a heated debate. It was a profound clash of philosophies, two fundamentally opposing worldviews colliding live on national television. Liam Hayes, in his relentless pursuit of financial truth, was not entirely wrong. Morning television, like so much of contemporary media, is undeniably a ruthless, multi-billion-dollar business.
Ratings are the bloodline, every viewer a data point, and beloved personalities, however genuine, are ultimately assets, their influence meticulously quantified and leveraged. He exposed the cold, hard mechanics of the revenue machine. But Robin Roberts, in her powerful and deeply personal response, was also not wrong. The value of what she does, the profound connection she fosters, the hope she inspires, transcends a mere balance sheet. She articulated a deeper, more enduring truth that beyond the statistics and the profit margins, there is a human element, an intangible impact that resists commodification. This confrontation, then, wasn't just about financial transparency versus emotional integrity. It was about the very soul of media itself. In an age dominated by clicks, algorithms, data analytics, and the relentless pressure for synergy that often feels soulless, Robin Roberts made a powerful, unequivocal stand for human connection. She reminded everyone that behind every screen, every broadcast, there was a person, a human being with vulnerabilities, triumphs, and a profound capacity for empathy. And behind every truly successful brand, every lasting media presence, there is a trust that cannot be bought with advertising dollars, only painstakingly earned through authenticity and genuine care. She laid bare the uncomfortable truth that while profit drives the machine, purpose gives it meaning. So, after witnessing that extraordinary confrontation, who do you believe was truly in the right? Was Liam Hayes a brave, uncompromising journalist, asking the difficult, uncomfortable questions that no one else dared to utter, pulling back the curtain on the corporate realities of morning television? Or was he a cynic, perhaps even a provocateur, who tried to put a crude financial price tag on the very essence of human connection and hope that Robin Roberts embodies? Was Robin Roberts defending a noble ideal, the purity of human connection and authentic storytelling? Or was she, in that powerful moment, inadvertently protecting the very machine that had elevated her to superstardom and sustained her immense influence? We want to hear your thoughts. Drop your opinions, your insights, your personal take on this unprecedented moment in the comments below. Let the conversation continue. And if you want to uncover more stories that challenge the official narrative, that delve into the unseen forces shaping our world, and that reveal the moments the media tried to bury, make sure to subscribe to Focus Insights. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss what we uncover next. You won't want to miss what we have in store.